All right. So I'm going to show you exactly how I send 100,000 cold emails every single month across all of our clients, okay, with an average 95% deliverability rate, okay? So let's get into this. Now, my name is Ani. I help B2B service providers literally automate their entire outreach, their entire backend to start booking 10 to 50 qualified meetings every single month, sales calls. It depends on the offer, but I only work with people who have a high ticket offer, right? We've already worked with over 30 agencies, coaches, and consultants in this B2B space and generated well over 7 figures for all of them. Okay, so let's get into this. Let's start. Now, this is first of all, I want to explain why most cold email systems are broken, right? First of all, like the people behind the system, they don't even understand that it is a system, right? Like this is the first thing to address. And you don't need to you don't want to be that person. So the pattern every B2B agency runs into before they understand the backend is this. So they think that mailbox can do everything. They don't understand the limits of a single mailbox. They think that an SDR can scale. It cannot scale. Like if you're making right now 30, 40, 50K a month and you have maybe like one or two SDRs, like those people are not going to be able to get you to like 200, 300K, right? You need proper systems in place that you can also be in control of. You have a control mechanism behind it. Tactics are not systems, right? So hacks, aka tactics, they produce streaks, and a system produces flow. Most operators chase the next subject line instead of fixing like the backend and the entire engine, right? They're landing in spam. They don't even know their infrastructure is broken. I can't even tell you how many people I spoke with this exact latent condition. And volume without proper warm up is spam, right? So if you've been running cold emails in the past and they haven't been performing well for you, you haven't been closing multiple 5 figures from them, it's usually because you were landing into spam, right? It's super simple. This is how it works. Because mass sends from cold email boxes, like you're gonna train the provider, usually Google, that you're sending cold emails and they're gonna put you in spam. The math punishes shortcuts, right? There are no shortcuts in cold email. I've tried them. I've been trying shortcuts for almost 2 years. I mean, I've been trying them for a year. I was able to establish the system at the end of it, but there are no shortcuts. Truly, I tell you, there are no shortcuts. And the warm-up system we use is this right here. This is my business partner's account, Thomas. We use Warmy for this. So you can see our deliverability right here. Like you might be saying, yeah, so what about instantly or what about smartly warm up? Their main product is not warm up. Their main product is sending and sequencing, right? Their warm up is not as good as Warmy. It's like a side product. While Warmy, their main product, their main product is literally warm up. And you can see our metrics right here. So the bottleneck isn't the message, it's the engine behind the message. It's the backend, it's the infrastructure. So here's the engine. Let's get into this. The 6-layer system. Each layer has one job and one job alone. Skip a layer and the whole thing leaks. If you're going to skip one layer, don't even run cold emails, please. If you skip warm up or if you skip lead like enrichment or personalization, just don't do cold emails. Just run ads or something. You're just gonna be wasting your money and your time on this. I've done this. I can tell you from my personal experience. I had people tell me, don't skip it, and I was like, yeah, maybe I can just skip this thing. Do not do it because you're just gonna be wasting time and money on this if you do this. So let's get into this. We have domains, right? First of all, we have to set up the domains and the mailboxes. For this, we use Mailbox Kit, Inbox Kit, and Spaceship for domains. And what you're going to do is you're going to set about 2 to 3 mailboxes under one domain. And they should all of the domains should look like your main company domain, but it should never be your main company domain, right? So let's say for our own agency, this is like literally, this is not an example, this is true. We have ActiScale.com. All right. So like we're not going to be using this domain for cold emails. Like what I would use in this sense, and we actually use these domains for cold email, is we use activescale.com. And you always want to be using .com. Please use .com. Do not use like I don't know, like agency or .inc or something like that. Just use .com. Not even .co. It's okay, but please use .com. It's going to give you so much more leverage later on. For example, another one that we use is we use actiscaleteam.com, right? Like these are the ones that we're using. And then in front of them, we just add Ane, right? Ane at Actiscale, Ane.m at Actiscale. Like this is what the domains we're using. This is what mailboxes, this is how our mailboxes look like. And then for the warm up, you want to use Warmy, right? It's super important that you do this. If you're going to skip this part, you might as well, start running ads or something else because the cold email is not going to work for you that well. Lead data is also very important. So we have Apollo and we have Ocean.io and we have Prospio. Ideally, you want to use, like, you can just test across all of them which one works best for your industry. Like, for example, when we get a new client or a new partner, however you want to refer to somebody that starts working with us, when we get a new client on board, we typically already have the data about their industry, about their niche, and we already know which lead sourcing process we're going to use. For example, for our own agency, we use Apollo coupled with ample leads. So to extract the data from Apollo, we use ample leads. Let me write it down right here. So you can just search it in Google. It's ample leads. And what this allows us to do is to cut costs. So instead of spending $50 per thousand leads, which you normally would with Apollo, you can spend $2 on 1,000 leads. $2.50 to be exact. And then for personalization and lead enrichment, we use Clay, a very popular platform if you're in this GTM, so go to market or in this outbound space, generally in the agency space. You're already going to know the platform. It's very good for lead enrichment, but never use it to scrape the lead data, right? It's very good for lead enrichment, but never use it for scraping. And then for sending, we use Smart Lead or Instantly. Like typically right now, we have most of our campaigns running in Instantly. We also have some in Smart Lead. Both work very well. There's no single one that works best. They both work well. Just don't use them for warm up. Use Warmy for warm up and one of these for sequencing, right? So for sending emails. Inside each layer, this is how the stack fits in, right? So domains, mailboxes, warm up, lead data, personalization, sending, all have one of these tools assigned. And then what one mailbox can do is not a lot. Like one mailbox is not going to get you anywhere. That's why we have 500 mailboxes running for our own agency right now. Because you can send about 5 new cold emails per mailbox, 5 follow-up emails, so basically 10 new cold emails every single day, 10 cold emails in general, um, and about 10 to 15 warm-up messages every day, which is going to put you at about 25 action items a day, right? 25 actions per mailbox a day, which is a healthy number. Like what you can do is you can push this to like 20, but your mailboxes, you're going to have to recycle them more frequently, right? Like it's very important that you understand this because if you do like 20 or 30 cold emails a day, it will work for a while. You're going to get into inbox for a while, but it's not going to be as time lasting as it would normally be. So the math, let's get into the math. Super nice. So one mailbox is one unit, right? It's going to allow you to regularly send 10 cold emails a day. And with that, you can scale it up to 500 mailboxes, which is going to allow you to send 100,000 cold emails a month, which is a big number. I can tell you this is like a huge number, right? The end result, 100K emails a month. If you had like 5,000 mailboxes, which would be like super expensive, but it would be worth it if you have a clear ROI established, you could have literally sent like 1 million when you think about it. So the trick isn't sending more from one mailbox. It's running many mailboxes that each look small and human. And keeping it healthy, the mailbox life cycle, right? So this is how the life cycle of a mailbox would typically look like. We have the provision, so domain setup, mailbox setup, and then we have the warm up, which would like realistically, if you warm up a mailbox for 4 weeks, it's going to be very good. It's going to be able to run for like 2 months, 1 to 2 months, which is very good. So after you finish with the warm up, you can start sending emails, right? First of all, do a health check and then start sending the cold emails gradually, right? So start sending, first of all, instead of 10 cold emails a day, start sending 5, maybe even 3, and then go to 6, 9, and then ultimately 10, right? And then you're going to have your runtime. This is going to be your gold rush, right? You're going to be running cold emails Realistically, like maximum I've seen is like to run with this infrastructure, like 4 weeks of warm up. Maximum I've seen is like for 3 months of consistent warm up, and then ultimately you have to recycle them. It's just the name of the game. Um, because this is like when reality hits and you get in spam. That's when you need like a clear process to recycle these mailboxes. The signals that tell you to recycle, it's also very important that you have a clear metric that you know when you need to recycle the mailboxes. First of all, we have the out of office reply, right? This is going to be your North Star, right? So this is going to be your North Star metric. When you're not getting out of office replies as frequently, that's when you know you're getting in spam. So if your out of office reply drops by 50%, you should just recycle, right? It's a big indicator that you should recycle. It's super important. And then we have the reply rate drop. Same goes for like this thing right here. It's a very similar metric. And the bounce rate ceiling, right? This is one thing that I also want to emphasize. So if your bounce rate is above 4%, your lead data is probably shit. You need at least, you should have like realistically a 1% bounce rate at a bare maximum, right? But 4% is still workable. If you have like a 10% bounce rate, you're doing something very wrong when it comes to your lead scraping process, right? So you want to track replies, never track open rates, never track link clicks, right? You never even want to send links in your emails, in your cold emails. Only send links when somebody replies to your email. And your bounce rates are automatically going to get tracked through Instantly or Smart Lead. As for example, right here, you can see, this is our campaign right here. You can see we're not tracking clicks. We're not tracking open rates. We're only tracking the replies and the opportunities, which is automatic, right? So for example, right here in this campaign for one of our clients, we got a 5% reply rate, 6%, 4.5, about 8, which is very good number. This was the best one right here. This is a very, very good number. Like if you establish an 8.2% reply rate, this is very good, right? And this column right here, right? So the opportunities, this is not accurate in most sending platforms, right? Like right here, I think we got like 30 opportunities, but it never tracks it accurately. So you always want to have a performance tracker in Google Sheets that allows you to track opportunities very nicely, right? Because right here, like this is where we generated like a shit ton of money from this. And it was way more than 15 opportunities. This is one thing that you need to keep in mind because you want to have a performance tracker in Google Sheets. I'm telling you for your best interest. Because if this is like your main performance tracker, you're not going to have clear feedback on your system. It's not accurate. It's AI, Human input is always going to be better, at least until AI gets good enough, right? So why does this matter? What does this give you? It gives you a predictable pipeline. It gives you an output which is ultimately sales calls and sales. Um, there's no single point of failure and scales without burning, right? And scalability becomes predictability, right? Like when you're going to scale with this once you establish clear KPIs. One last point I want to emphasize on and I want to give you a clear understanding of is that cold email is not a tool, it's a manufacturing process, right? So, for example, this is one of the campaigns we ran last month. We ran about 4 campaigns for this client. This was by far the best one. We generated about 30,000 USD from this campaign. We've sent out approximately 1,900 cold emails, new leads, which I think it was at the end about 4K cold emails in total. We generated 183 opportunities, positive replies, right? This was all manually tracked. I think it was like 30 opportunities, and then we just labeled the leads as interested, right? So I was able to do this in screenshot. And we got about $130,000 in opportunity value. Some of it is still in the pipeline, and 30,000 is confirmed closed. This is it. This is how it looks like. It's crazy, right? So I'm gonna give you one CTA. Now, it's gonna be a very cool one. If you are a B2B service provider, and if you sell a high ticket offer and you already have an established offer, and you don't book appointments consistently, you can book a call with me down in the description, jump on a one-on-one. I can show you our exact system, how it looks in depth, how we could structure it out for you, how our retainer and our revenue share model works. It's very cool. We have a very, very cool offer. It's a no-brainer because we also have this crazy no deal, no stop guarantee on top of it. So If you want to do this, you can book a call with me in the description. I don't really care because we're getting most of our calls from outbound and outreach, DMs and emails for our own agency. This is where most of our volume comes from. So if you want a done for you solution, go into the description. You can book a call with me. I don't really care. And I will see you in the next meeting.